Hello everyone. I hope you are having a good day. I know it's Monday. Nobody is anywhere near excited near when it comes to the Mondays. And that is also the reason why today's episode is starting with something kind of a not so good news for as a consumers. So, as from the title and the thumbnail, you have definitely seen it. The raised Apple has raised their prices for their products, and it is inevitable that was going to happen. Tim Cook came forth and said is that it was inevitable. You know, it was about to happen. He also talked about the Apple have done everything in their hand and also absorbed the price. So basically, they could have done it couple of months ago. I don't think so. They could have. They did not wanted to do it, especially at the start of the year when it comes to companies grow. They don't want to be like, yeah, they want to do it at a time where companies high periods are going on, specifically now with events in between, so that there is not any kind of a big effect when it comes to their market share, but that is also a totally different conversation. So Tim Cook said that because of shortage of memories slash RAM, they call it memory, because of shortage of that, we are basically raising our prices, and this is going to be inevitable, and there is no long term kind of a solution for any other company too. Now, is it the RAM problem? Is it because of RAM specifically shortage? You know, or there is something else. By the end of this, you will definitely know what it is, but try to guess it. Who is the actual culprit here? But giving you kind of an, I will say, context here, what is happening. So past 8 months, there has been shortage on RAM, and it was about to happen. We know that, everyone knew that. It's just how and when Apple is going to do, and how much amount of price Apple was going to increase. you know on average, Apple has raised around $200, and the highest is, I think, they have raised around 500 $600 per product. Specifically, the higher professional grade, actually higher price point products like MacBook M5 Max Pro are actually really higher priced, especially $500 more. So it is kind of a really big, I will say, a price increase, for a lot of people. Now, it was about to happen. We know that, and Apple just did it this time. Now, why is it happening? Yes, there is a shortage of RAM, specifically DDRMs, specifically you see use on your smartphones or individual on your PCs. The reason why it's shortage is because the three major giants in this company who makes actual RAM are actually focusing on high bandwidth RAM. So basically high bandwidth memory, HBM. So basically they are making those high bandwidth memories. Because of that, it is getting higher and higher in terms of price chips, because they are focusing towards more on that. Okay, due to increase and demand of HBM chips, or you can call it RAMs, they are focusing on that. And even I think Micron came forth and said they are only going to focus on those kind of chips. Now, why they are focusing on it? They are corporations, they are company. Obviously, they are going to go towards the profit they, or specifically where they have any kind of profit margin. Typical companies behavior. Now, in this whole scenario, what happened is that there was so shortage of RAM, is that over the period of time, the price is getting increase and increase. Around hundreds of dollars have increased. Like if you used to get RAM around 100 $200, that is no more of a kind of thing. So now, what is the solution for that? So you might thinking the obvious solution is, as everybody is thinking as a common person, is just raise the price. Sorry, not price is already increased. Raise the production of the RAM. Now, it is the logical sense. You are right. I'm not saying you are wrong. The thing is, it is not as simple. Increasing the production not will always go right to these companies. Okay, the thing is, the increase in the production will take a lot of time, and the thing is, there are only certain companies. So like I said, the three big companies own around 90% of the whole world's production when it comes to RAMs, and because of that, they just can't increase the production. They are also limited when it comes to their resources. And there are really companies just emerging now where they can make it. Now it is not hard to make RAM specifically. And a company can do R&D and D and make a RAM. The problem is not that. The problem is how can they make it for millions of units every year. Hundreds of millions of units of RAM is needed for specific, even specific one product of even Apple, like iPhones. you know Now imagine there is Samsung, there is Google, there is other Chinese companies, you know like Huawei, then there is Oppo, Vivo. Like there are all other companies who are actually wants it. Now because of that, there is a need of that too much, and due to that, it is not just easy for them to ramp up the production. Even if they start doing it now, even if they start doing it now, it will be taking a couple of years to even, like, not even, like, the effect will be not immediate. You might get kind of you might caught up to the shortage of RAM till next year. So it is a complex situation, like I said. Now I also know what you are also thinking, because I am also one of those people who are just thinking about logically why these companies at only first hand did not know that there is going to be such kind of a shortage. The thing is, the industry works around like similarly towards profit. Not any other sensible company is going to be like, okay, this is where the more profit is, and this is where our last year profit is. You know what? I will go towards more profit. So because of more and more demand when it comes to those high bandwidth chips, high bandwidth memory chips, then because of that, there is more focus on that. It is just profit, these companies want. Now, what are the things and solution, or what are long term things can happen? So the thing is, I feel like there are a couple of things. Like, if you are so naive, I will say, like me, it was a couple of years ago, you might think that, oh, you know what, this is the only year Apple is going to rise. They raise their prices, and next year is Apple is going to drop their prices. Like, you know what, because RAM shortage has covered up. No, it is not going to happen. Every other company looks for an opportunity or right opportunity to increase their prices. Now, because of that, I don't think Apple is going to ever decrease, or the prices are ever going to be same what it is before couple of, and even now before prices were getting increased. What Apple will do, I feel like now the prices haven't hit iPhones, which I think eventually hit when it comes to when launch their products. But I do think what will happen is that Apple will eventually keep in between these prices, the increased prices. We are never going to go back to the original, or you can say the prices that were normal for us. Now, that is what I think it is going to happen. So, like, I know I like to be positive around it, but no, there is a lot of complications, and it is going to be really rough, you know and the reason and the culprit here is these three companies, because there is monopolies. The thing is, when it comes to, there is so monopoly and the domination in the industry by just only three companies, what happens is that because of that, they dictate how the industry operates. They dictates how the industry flows, the pricing, and because of their greediness about, you can say, about profits, they are like, okay, we are going to ramp up these things. We are only care about this, and now there is shortage of RAM. So there are, like I said, a lot of culprits here, but you can say these three companies. And in this whole fiasco, us all consumers are getting just destroyed by this pricing. Okay, we don't care about AI because it is ultimately not even beneficial to any other common person who is purchasing this device, at least for now. The prices you are paying for it is not going to be beneficial. Okay, it's not that the prices that are these devices are getting is not, you are getting something new. Okay, you are getting something AI because AI is getting much more focus when it comes to that. No, it is because industry is so obsessed with AI, or so obsessed with making profits over it. Because of that, it has hit to us, the first consumers, rather than hitting to those companies. Okay, so yeah, and it did hit Apple too. No, almost 9% drop into almost $285 billion of drop when it comes to their whole market in 2 weeks ago, when they basically drop the new mark pricing point. So like I said, it is going to be hard if eventually if it gets easier, but before that it is a hard journey for at least us the consumers too. The prices are increased, we don't know how industry is going to handle it, we don't know, everybody is just let others figure out how it is going to be now, just like that. You know what, move on to the next topic. Now what I want to talk about the most, what is that how iPhone is so buggy. I don't know why is that when it comes to iPhones, and there's some of this most insane, intolerable. Yeah, that is the word. Intolerable sometimes. Okay. I think I'm facing a bug for past 2 weeks is that whenever I try to open my keyboard, specifically from a app library, whenever I want to search something, it does not open. I don't know what is happening there. I don't know if it is happening to you, let me know. You know what? Yeah. So apart from that, like this is the beauty of it in the tech industry. Industry is focusing on how much RAM it is costing, how much pricing it is increased, and consumers too. And I'm here talking about these small bugs that are getting just irritated for me. Okay, so yeah, that is it for today. I will say I will see you guys tomorrow talking about something new. Not something sad, not sad, but something more positive towards what is happening. So yeah, it is not in my hands. Okay, always like it is how industry moves. We have to get tough. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you like this episode. Comment down what your thoughts are on this price increase. Are you actually going to buy it? Going to buy it and you are like stuck in now the prices are increased. One of the things that I really hate, and it could not have come at a worse time. Like this is summer, like people want to buy something specifically products for their school, specifically kids, even high schools, colleges. So yeah, it is a rough period for industry for now. For a couple of years, it is going to be really rough until it gets really good, and we do not know what the timeline is. So yeah, a really good things are happening in the industry. I will see you guys tomorrow with something newer.